Rogue Cell Radio, where we dig deep into stories of leadership, service, and the impact of community with the goal of reduce veteran suicide and inspire camaraderie. I'm your host, Sean, and as always, I'm joined here by our producer, Brad.
Hey.
So let's get started. This is Rogue Cell Radio. Brad, I understand that you're very excited about the guests that we have lined up today.
That's right. I am. Today, we're diving into a story of leadership, service, and unexpected reunions with a little bit of mathematics. Retired Coast Guard officers Dan Pickles and Phil Eero first met at the U.S. Coast Guard Academy. Dan is an instructor. Phil is a cadet. And years later, their paths crossed again, this time in the halls of Astoria High School, where they now teach math together. From navigating the high seas to guiding students through equations, Dan and Phil prove that service doesn't end with retirement. It simply evolves.
Well, all right. Well, let's get into it. I do have a lot of questions about the Coast Guard and the Coast Guard Academy. Yeah. We always talked about the different branches of military. And yeah, we'll give Air Force a hard time, even Navy a little bit, but we never really talked about the Coast Guard. I didn't really understand it until I was teaching college, and I was teaching veterans specifically at Mount Hood Community College. Mm-hmm. And there were a lot of Coast Guard in there. And I didn't know that they did so much law enforcement. Not only are you out on the coasts, but the Great Lakes, all over the United States. And so let's just jump into it. What did you guys do in the Coast Guard?
You can go first, Dan. You started first.
Yeah, I did a bunch of different things in the Coast Guard. I like to break my career into kind of three categories. My major was electrical engineering. And so I did some engineering in the Coast Guard. I got a master's degree at the University of Rhode Island, and then worked on some electrical engineering projects regarding differential GPS, which is an electronic positioning system based on the Air Force's GPS system.
And what year was that?
Oh, let's see. I kind of skipped around. So that was
last millennium.
Yeah, 1997 to 99.
Yeah, that was before it was widely available, right?
Correct.
Yeah. In the Army, we had what they called pluggers. Mm-hmm. You guys know? Okay.
Yeah, the selective GPS.
Selective availability. Yeah, I was actually at...
Where you had to wait out there and wait for 3 satellites to go overhead, and then you can figure out where you...
Yeah. I was part of the navigation center when they turned off selective availability. I think that was under Bill Clinton.
Oh, they turned it off.
Yeah, and then they made that precision available to everybody, which really opened up the usage in those current navigation systems that they have now.
Well, everybody has it now.
That wouldn't be available now without selective availability turned on. So they intentionally put error into the GPS signal so that other people couldn't use it, and it would be military only. So they had kind of a secret decoder ring to increase the accuracy for the military applications.
Yeah.
But somebody in the powers that be decided that it would be safe enough to share with everybody. And I think that's really where you saw the electronic navigation systems kind of take off.
It's funny because I was in buoy tending, and I was in the buoy tending at the time before they turned it off. And when I was on a ship and we were positioning buoys, it had to be accurate to within a few yards because you were going to chart it. Yeah. And when you're close to shore, you would get a radio signal that would correct it. And then you would be like, all right, I'm really precise. But I would work in Samoa and all these other places where there's no radio signal. So we really we had to use sextants and aim and measure angles.
Wow.
And we had to
still going by the stars.
We were doing sextant fixes every 15 seconds and typing them up. And then
with your moonstone.
Yeah, it was crazy. Imagine 3 coasties all back to back with sextants, yelling out angles just nonstop.
And this was in the 1700s?
This was the last millennium, but yeah. And then they turned it off and it was just we can just look at the screen. Yeah. So that was phase 1 of your...
So when did you get rid of the pigeons that sent the messages?
Gosh, we had green screens when we started, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do they still do
the semaphore? Yeah.
My first
waving
World War II.
Oh, wow.
My first Coast Guard cutter actually served in World War II, had depth charges on the back. It was that old. Yeah, it was an ancient relic.
Wow.
And I would say just kind of jump back into the original question. No, that's great. And there's a lot of, things that we can talk about. But the second aspect of my career, I would say is shipboard operations. So I spent 10 years afloat on a bunch of different ships, commanded 2 ships, one a patrol boat over in Sandy Hook, New Jersey. And then another one here. We had a medium endurance cutter right out of Astoria, Oregon. They just recently left, went around to be relocated in Florida. But I had commanded that for a couple of years. And
wow. So you were a captain. Forgive my ignorance, but you were a captain of a ship?
I was. Yes.
But a captain is not a captain like in the Army. A captain is a different rank in the Coast Guard?
Command, yeah, it's a lieutenant colonel.
What O is? Mm-hmm. Okay.
05.
Okay. 05.
And then I finished out my career in law enforcement policy. So district and
still in the Coast Guard was law enforcement.
Yep. So from the alert, I went over to the East Coast, so Mid-Atlantic region, Virginia, for running those operations in the Mid-Atlantic. And then my last couple of years were in California, running the counter-drug operations.
See, that's what I was going to ask. Like, what do you do with your law enforcement in the Coast Guard? Is it mostly drugs, or is it
drugs and migrant interdiction operation,
immigration?
So you've seen maybe that's really picked up lately in Southern California region. I was there for another period where there was pretty big uptick in migrant ops.
So how long were you in the Coast Guard total?
24 years active duty, 4 years in the academy. So
wow,
28 years wearing a uniform.
And that's where you were in 05 when you got out?
I retired as an 06 as a captain. Yeah.
So you could be captain with 5 and 6, or just?
There's a position captain and there's a rank captain. You can be captain of the ship as an 02 and some boat spots.
Like a really small boat with two people rowing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm learning a lot.
You guys both went to the academy then?
Yes.
You did.
Yeah.
So the Coast Guard Cutter Eagle, you both served on that?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you guys both served on the Eagle. I've been tracking it all the rain tracker all day just to see.
My understanding is every cadet does, right?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yes.
So every cadet does. But then when I went back to the Coast Guard Academy to teach, to maintain my navigation skills and afloat operations, abilities, I spent 6 weeks each summer on Eagle.
You did your summertime there?
And I did my summer training on Eagle, got qualified as a ship driver.
But that thing, it goes all over the world.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's a 3-mast. And again, I'm ignorant on ships. The only thing I was ever on was a Zodiac. We did an amphibious attack on the Isle of Wight in England. But it was training. We didn't really attack the English. So what would you call that type of ship? I mean, to me, it just seems like it's really old.
It's a bark.
A bark.
Yeah. BARQUE.
Yeah. So
like the root beer.
So the first 2 masts are rigged beam to beam, and then the last one is rigged fore and aft.
So if you have more masts, that makes you go faster?
Not always, but yeah, I mean,
in general, yes.
I don't know.
Depends on which way was long.
We're using. So it was my Princess Bride.
There you go. Yes.
So we didn't really get into what you did.
And I didn't serve as much as Dan. No worries. I did 4 years at the academy and then 11 years active duty, and then I separated. So I did not retire from the Coast Guard. After the academy, I did 4 years on ships out of Hawaii, and I did a lot of aids to navigation, ship driving, and law enforcement. So I did a lot of fisheries and migrants.
What do you do in fisheries?
They're 200 miles offshore from any U.S. territory is the U.S. fishing waters, and other countries are not allowed to fish there commercially. And so I would go on board Korean vessels that are fishing illegally in the South Pacific U.S. waters and write tickets, seize logs, that kind of stuff. And
I had no idea. Wow, this is crazy.
And then I did specialize in Chinese migrant interdiction. So like combating the Chinese mafia and, stopping human trafficking on the spot. So I've done some of that.
Oh my gosh.
And after 4 years there, I went to Stanford, got a couple of master's degrees so I could teach at the academy. I think I taught right before you got there. I left.
Yeah.
So I taught statistics and calculus at the Coast Guard Academy.
So it sounds like my introduction was a little bit incorrect.
That's okay. Yeah. I mean,
It was?
a little bit. Just, yeah. And I didn't do the 20. I did, after 3 years there, I tried going ashore and I worked in the command center in Key West, Florida, coordinating missions. And I just didn't enjoy the stress without the activity. I mean, you just sit in a room and not be able to do anything about it.
When I went from squad leader to platoon sergeant now, and then we didn't have enough lieutenants, so they transferred me over to platoon leader. Then I had to go like I had to write risk assessments and go to meetings. Like, I just want to get out there with the guys and run around.
Yeah. See, that's funny because my best time I had in the Army was as a platoon leader.
Well, sure.
Because I put all that other stuff aside that you're talking about.
Right.
And I spent it with my troops.
Well, that's because you knew like all the meetings you had to go to as a captain, and I did not. I had it easy with all my little meetings, but I thought it was a lot because I was a squad leader before.
So, Phil, and your emails that you sent before this, you said something that really resonated with me, and I'm going to find it here. And you said when you're in Key West, Florida, that's the tour when you realized you made a pretty good junior officer and a terrible senior officer.
Right. With junior officer, you can take more risks. You can be more open. You can learn from your mistakes. And when I was at Sector Key West, I was a lieutenant commander, and I just wasn't good at the politicking side of things. I didn't always stay in my lane. I objected to things passionately at times. And I had a commanding officer at first who really respected that and like appreciated it when you would come in and say, Captain, I think you're wrong. I think you're making a mistake. Don't do this.
But I can see how not all officers.
Oh, mission day. And then I had, and for me, and that behavior was fostered in me. And then I ran across an 06 who you'd never do that. And for me, I am not able to. That's a switch I could never flip. And I was just like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can politic enough. And I'm not saying that that's what's necessary, but if you're not afloat. I mean, being afloat is the dream, right? I mean, because you're
out there on
a ship, right? And I was going to be a senior officer ashore, and I was like, I don't think I could do another 10 years of being in an office when I could be doing teaching. So I switched to teaching at that point.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you guys. How did you go from being in the Coast Guard to showing up here in Astoria and teaching at the high school, teaching math?
I think we both had similar paths where we both ended up teaching at the Coast Guard Academy as officers. We both were, that was our duties was to go and teach. So I went back and taught math in the department that I was as a student, and you went back and taught electrical engineering in the department where you were a student. So I got a free taste of it when I was in the military, and I just loved teaching. It was, if I couldn't be afloat, I wanted to be a teacher. So for me, I decided to resign and pursue teaching as a profession.
So I nearly decided to be a math teacher after the Army. And I was in Kansas, and I decided to start tutoring to see what I would think of it. And I discovered very quickly that I was very much enjoyed teaching the willing. But the kids that didn't want to learn, they just frustrated me so much. And I knew that it would drive me crazy.
Yeah, that's tough. But I mean, you guys have more. I think you have more education than I do. I do have a master's degree, but you had to get a degree in teaching as well, correct?
I have 2 master's degrees, not in education, and I went to go for a third in education, and I got about halfway through, and I was like, I'm just going to get my teaching license and just.
Oh, that's what I meant. I never got a teaching license, but when you have an MFA, you can teach college, but you can't teach high school.
Yeah. And so you did the full.
I did the full second degree, so I've got 2 masters. But funny you should mention the teaching the unwilling. So that was the biggest challenge that I had. So teaching at the academy was ideal. All the students were there. They were respectful. They're all smart.
They all volunteered to be there, trying hard to get through it.
If you did have a behavior problem, which was very rare, it was easily corrected by either talking to them, talking to their company officer. And there were many, many tools, demerits, to get those, get students in line and motivated. And that was the biggest challenge that I had coming to high school, where it was a whole different world. They did not come to attention when I stepped into the room for some reason. You people. They did not call me sir. They did not salute. And it was a whole different ball game. So, that was probably the biggest
to motivate them
transition. Biggest challenge that I had. They call that classroom management, I think.
Yeah. Did you end up using the tools that you were trained in the military for what you're doing today in a different way, I guess?
A little bit. I mean, the idea of organization, the idea of integrity and accountability, those things immediately translate into teaching. I mean, if a student doesn't trust a teacher, they're never going to listen to that teacher. So a teacher without integrity is useless. A teacher who's disorganized doesn't get the respect of their students. A teacher without compassion for their people. I mean, you could think of a commanding officer who doesn't care about his troops, and you'll obey, but you're not loyal. That the difference between leadership and management. And I think a lot of the skills you learn as a leader. My first day teaching at the Coast Guard Academy, my former professor was like, "Teaching is leadership. You're here to lead, not teach." And I was like, "Yes, sir. Understood."
Oh, wow. That's great.
But I was like, Dan, I taught the academy, and, they wanted to be there. I literally taught at the #1 high school in the country as my first civilian gig.
Where's that?
In Annandale, Virginia, Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology.
Wow. I didn't know that there was ranked.
I didn't.
Yeah. The U.S. News and World Report would rank every year, and we were like #1 like 4 years in a row, and everyone was really excited about it.
That's a good marketing department.
Yeah. It was good for my chess team. I got good recruits every year. But and so I was at that school, and the kids were motivated. They wanted to get into Harvard. They wanted to hit that next level. And I wasn't really challenged as a teacher until I taught at Clatsop Community College. And that's when I watched, finally in an environment where kids were hitting, not kids, adults were hitting that wall, and you had to help them get through it.
Yeah, I still call them kids.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So I taught at a private school at Pacific University, and that was a little bit more difficult than, well, I don't want to say difficult in a different way. Yeah, because I did a lot of community colleges as well. And you could see, like, when they were at the community college, they have another job. They got jobs. They have kids at home. They have a whole life, and they're just really struggling to make that life better. So a lot of them are really motivated. But then these other ones are just, like, why'd you come to class? Your Grover pajamas or Pokemon. I was like, come on, we're trying to do something here. All right.
Juicy pajamas.
Yeah.
That's what they all wore when I was in my home. My goodness.
Yeah. So it's, but you're right. I mean, I feel like I did kind of, dig into that toolbox of the leadership.
Yeah.
Specifically. And you just have to find different ways to motivate them to learn.
And a lot of the tools that I had that worked previously didn't work in a community college. And I had to have people who taught there be like, okay, you're not asking them why they're here. That's the first question you ask a student when they're struggling is, why are you even in the classroom? What is your goal? Why are you here? And whatever they say, that's your goal too. And once I started doing that, I started listening. And I started not worrying about the math and paying more attention to the person. And then the math, just like the education would start to fall into place. And that's when I had that paradigm shift in my head of, okay, this isn't about math. It's about the people. The math is, the catalyst that we're teaching, but it's like helping people grow.
Yeah.
And that was like the best 2 years of my life was when I was teaching at Clatsop.
So I guess this leads into the next question. Do you feel that teaching high school in this community is like an extension of your service?
Yeah.
It's a different kind of service, definitely. And I think one of the things that at least I tried to bring, and I'm not sure how successful I am. It depends on the day. But kind of that outside perspective. I mean, when you're in high school, you don't know what you don't know. There's a lot of students that, haven't moved from Astoria or haven't been beyond the state or, just the West Coast. And there's a great big world out there. And there are a lot of applications like, why am I doing this? Why is math important? Mm-hmm. And I tell them, I'm not a mathematician. I'm not a math major, but I'm a user of the product. And I know.
I have a sneaking suspicion you probably need a little bit of math to be an electrical engineer.
Oh, a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
But do you actually use the imaginary numbers in electrical engineering?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I've been telling my son when he's like, why do we do this? And I was like, electrical engineering. There it is.
Yep. You can't always see the numbers.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part. And that's a lot of times the challenge of that transition to the next step. People are really good. Like a lot of students love geometry. They can see the shapes. They can touch them. Mm-hmm. They can see what's happening. But when it gets a little bit more, profound and theoretical, a lot of people start,
abstract mathematics.
My son is 30. He went to Oregon State University to be a nuclear engineer. And one Thanksgiving, he came home and he's like, Dad, check this out. And he write a bunch of gibberish on paper. And my math doesn't have numbers in it anymore. I stared at it for like 2 minutes and then I punched him. No, I'm just kidding.
Jeez, that happened this week. My calc students took a test and it was a hard test. And when they were done, one of the kids like, Mr. Ear, I never even picked up my calculator for the last 2 hours. Like I don't think I could have used my calculator on this. And I'm like, yeah, that's where we're at.
Is it like theory then? Is it like theoretical? I don't know how you would do that.
The level that we were proving things to be true or false, like writing convincing mathematical arguments. So,
that's fun.
Yeah,
that's a whole nother language. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Your question about service too. I mean, every job I've ever had since high school has been paid for by the taxpayer. Be it military, teaching at a community college, teaching at high schools. It's still service. You're serving your community.
Right.
That's the way I see it.
Was the academy both of yours first stop after high school or?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It was an eye-opening experience.
I did it. I became an officer the shake and bake way, the officer candidate school.
And I think there's a lot of value to that. Frankly, I mean, in having the empathy of knowing the other side of things.
It means I had to pay for my own student loans.
Oh no.
They didn't help you repay them?
No, because I went officer. If I would have gone enlisted, they would have paid them.
Oh, see, I didn't have a clue that's what happened there.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk to you. So I was changing gears just a little bit. So you did come to our Veterans Day event that we had. We showed some of our documentary. In that documentary, we've driven about 4,000 miles around the state of Oregon so far in rural Oregon. We're trying to fight veteran suicide in rural communities. And one of the things that I learned just talking to people around the state was that one of the problems that veterans have when they go to a rural area is what they call social fragmentation, or they just lose that camaraderie. We're talking about you guys, and you had gone to the Coast Guard Academy, and then you met up here again. And we know the importance of having a battle buddy. I mean, does that help you guys out? I mean, it seems like you have a sense of community with each other because of like what you had gone through.
I think so. And the funny thing is Dan and I are such different personalities, but we also have so many.
Well, you know, a Metallica shirt on and Dan had his tie on. He's looking.
But yeah, I think so. I think that we kind of back each other up, look out for each other, support each other, and help each other out in ways that are sometimes unexpected. Considering that also that, you know, I used to hate his guts when I was a young man. And now I'm like,
we can get into that later. But
we will.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely say Phil is my battle buddy. He, I actually knew, and you probably knew this. I knew that he was here, that he was teaching, and the Coast Guard is kind of a small organization. So you hear about people, you know about people, it's a little bit easier to keep track of individuals, especially when you're in the service. So, it was, I was coming here regardless, because I met my wife here. And so, that was kind of part of the prenuptial agreement where you said that she would travel around the country with me in the Coast Guard if when I decided to get out or when the time came that we'd settle back here. Her parents live in Astoria, and so she's got some roots. But I knew that Phil was here, and it was nice to have that kind of reassurance. And coming in, Phil set me up and made sure that I knew what I was doing and kept me in line. So I trained him introduction to the Coast Guard, and Phil kind of trained me introduction into high school teaching. So
that is true. Yeah,
paybacks.
Yeah,
payback.
You didn't make me do any push-ups though. And
I've been tempted. No, I'm kidding. I'm pretty sure you could out push up me, Dan.
Wait, you'd have to drop with him.
Dan, did you make Phil do push-ups in the?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That must be hated me.
Because of the push-ups.
Dan was really good at his job. So at the academy, after 2 years, you're still a cadet. But when the new swap summer, it's like boot camp essentially for the academy. Those second year students are the boot camp instructors for the incoming freshmen or swaps.
Oh, okay.
So, all summer long, I'm running some push-ups, learning my in-doc, getting corrected, learning how to be in the military, how to wear the uniform. And I got in a lot of trouble and I made a lot of mistakes. And a lot of times Dan was there to hold me accountable and
get him on the straight and narrow.
I was at the academy. There's like an academic and a military ranking. Mm-hmm. And by the end of my first year, I was dead last militarily in my class.
Wow.
I got in so much trouble. Like the 3 people behind me on the list all got kicked out for lack of suitability. And I barely got through my first year. And so it's a miracle I made the rest of those years work. But yeah, it took me a while to figure out how to act a proper cadet and a proper officer.
Oh, so now that you guys are here, do you do anything else in the veteran community during the year?
I do not, but
no, unfortunately, when I got here, I had all sorts of aspirations of things that I was going to do. And, and just, it's hard. There's life gets in the way. You get, family and other responsibilities. The first couple years of teaching, and they try to warn you, but it's grueling the first couple years.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so that was definitely true. But, back in the day, I was a member of the American Legion, helped with Boy State, and I know there's one here. Wasn't really able to connect. I was interested in trying to get involved in the Navy League, but there's no Navy League here. The nearest Navy League is in Portland. Tried to connect with the auxiliary and just, not as much as I wanted to or probably could. So ran into you guys and heard about this and say, hey, this is a great cause that maybe I can connect with some folks.
Good. Yeah. Well, we really want to show. Let me back up. So when I first got out in 2007, I really kind of dove into helping combat veterans with PTSD. And it was really difficult. I did that for like 10 years, just going with, Sean, if you don't help me out right now, I'm going to kill myself. And I'm like, all right, I'll be over, and stuff like that. But and I got so into that type of work that I kind of forgot, like sometimes we have to show good examples. Like these are people who actually got out leading great lives. They're doing good in their communities. And that is just as important as going over and try to help somebody, all the time, I think.
Interesting you mentioned that. I have PTSD. And I'm actually only work mornings at the high school because sometimes it's a struggle for me just to get to lunch. So I have anxiety, depression, insomnia, PTSD. I ended up in the hospital in Key West with chest pains at 35. And the third time I moved here, I didn't have a network and I did struggle with the mental health to the point where I was like, I went to the library one day. And it's like, I'm just going to sit in the library because I can't do anything stupid if I'm here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how bad I was for a while.
That takes courage right there.
That does.
Yeah, it does. Cause I know there's a lot of people who just like, I'm just isolating. I don't want to be a part of anything.
Yeah.
And when they do that, they burn all their bridges. They have no connections. Just something as small as just going to the library and sitting there. That's a big thing.
So for me, that since you're bringing up the topic, I as a teacher, I've decided to be very vocal and open about my mental health struggles. Like I have depression, I have anxiety. There are days that my brain just doesn't work. Like it's all there, but it's trapped. It's hard to,
that's brave, and it's important too.
And I tell the students the first day of the year, like this was going to happen. And there's days when I'm not going to work well, and I need you to be there those days. And the days that I'm 100%, you're going to get 100% of me. But there'll be other days where I need you guys to step up. And they're like, and you could see like 4 or 5 kids in the room, their eyes just get big. They're like, that's me. Like there's kids in the room who struggle with those things. And so it's important to own your strengths and your weaknesses.
So you're still leading by example.
Trying to.
And so you said you had a network. So you might not go to like, American Legion meetings or something like that, but you still got, at least you guys got each other.
Oh, yeah.
And you're reaching out to veterans. I know that the Armory this year, they had a big Coast Guard event. I think it might have been on Veterans Day. I'm not sure. But I went. And it's like, I'd never really been to one of these. I'm going to check it out. It was pretty cool. So it's here. And I go to the Coast Guard PX every once in a while.
I haven't been in there yet.
You haven't been in there?
No.
Yeah.
I don't need a gun, and I don't drink.
Yeah.
It's just gas, bullets, and alcohol. Shoe polish.
Yeah, and shoe polish.
No, I'm kidding. They have a lot more.
And medals that I've heard they got some good stuff.
Yeah, they get
Yeah. No, my wife goes in there to get her workout stuff. So, yeah, they got some good shoes and stuff, too. They always doing PT in the military, no matter what.
So, Dan, I saw in the bio that you sent to us that before you settled into Astoria, you traveled the country in an RV.
We did, yes.
We did the same thing. And
but he knew where he was going.
Yeah, you knew where you were going. We pulled up into Astoria and we're like, this is where we're going to stay. This is it.
Really?
Yeah.
I like that. Of everywhere we could have picked in the country, because that's what our trip was just find a new home.
See it all. Yeah.
Because Kansas wasn't working.
Yeah. Well, we were on our way up to, so what happened with us was we were living in Central Oregon, and there was a huge forest fire, and it just took our whole community. It took 400 houses and all the businesses and everything. So, and I was a firefighter, so we did defend our house, and it made it. But it was pretty traumatic. And Jackie was right there with me the whole time. We led the whole community out when we had to evacuate, and she had her little whistle around her neck and she had a pocket knife. And so we're like, hey, we're moving from here. We don't want to be a part of that. And so we were going to go up to where it rains a lot in Washington. And we just happened to stop here. And my buddy Matt Zedwick, who we were in Iraq, I was in Iraq with. I was actually his squad leader, but he became an officer. And he just, at any rate, they run the Lower Columbia Veterinarian Clinic down there. And he's like, Sean, just live here, man. I got a house. I have another buyer, but I'll just tell him no. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. It's like, all right, cool. I was like, oh, my wife's got to find a job. He's like, I'll hire her. She got another job with a veteran, Virtue on the Point, the veterans inpatient clinic, but that's what kind of she was doing. So that's how we just decided to move here too, because it's amazing.
It's a great place.
And I know it's a Goonies 40th anniversary and everything, but what really got me here was Short Circuit. That's more
Johnny Five.
Free Willy. That was me. Free Willy brought me here.
I think this is our third time here. Each of us has lived here 3 times, and I think all 3 times we've been here at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is hilarious.
I just figured you were here the whole time.
I never left.
Yeah, well, you go someplace else, it's just not as cool, so you got to come back.
That is true. Astoria is probably the best place I've ever lived.
I just like going out on my porch with a cup of coffee and watching the deer play and the birds sing and little raccoons. I'm like, I feel like a Disney princess, and I think that's good for me. I like that.
You make a good princess.
Absolutely.
Oh man, I really haven't looked at our questions.
I haven't looked at our questions much either. But we've hit on a lot of what they were on there.
Oh, yeah.
What we didn't mention is that you're not just math teachers, but we've alluded to it. You're the math teachers for our kids.
Oh, really?
Phil, you're
yours. Yeah.
You have mine.
Yep.
Yeah, and you have Sean's.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's taught my kids, and I've taught his kids.
Oh, wow.
Small town. Yeah.
And you try to teach your own kids, they don't listen.
Oh, no.
No, my son said when I was helping him, he's like, well, that's not how Eero said to do it at all.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
That's fine.
He's got 2 math degrees.
He's got 2. And my mathish degree isn't quite a math degree, but I did tally up as we were talking. At this table of 4 people, there's 11 college degrees.
I've got 3. You have 2.
3, I thought.
3. Yep.
Well, yeah, sure.
Undergrad counts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Wait, yeah. Well, if you count my associates.
I'm not counting those because there's a whole bunch of them.
Certificate of participation.
Yeah. I did go to Iraq for 4 months and get a certificate of appreciation.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, wow. That was the only award I got on that tour.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
I got blown up and I got an Army Achievement Medal. It was ARCOM, I think.
An ARCOM.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
all of the Bronze Stars went to the officers, you guys.
Yeah, I have one of those.
Yeah.
And just for the record, you know that there's Coast Guard in Iraq, right?
Oh, yeah. I served with a Coast Guard member there. He knew
I want to hear more about that. I had no idea. I thought you guys were just the United States.
No, we have Coast Guard personnel all around the world.
Wow.
So we've got folks in embassies and in Europe and most of the joint commands. So AFRICOM, USCOM.
Wow.
SOCOM.
So the Coast Guard officer that I worked with in Iraq, all that he did was set up all of the, what do you call them, the countermeasures on convoys.
Mm-hmm.
So to interrupt all of their different devices and things.
Yeah, they didn't have. I wish we had.
Yeah, I bet you did. Well, yeah. So because there's different ones that do different things and they interfere with each other. So we would plan our convoys and then he'd say, nope, you got to do it this way instead. And then after like our 3rd convoy working with him, I learned he had a really high speed program and he showed me how to use it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, my experience with the Coast Guard is very little, except for I had a student, Joseph, and he was law enforcement at the Great Lakes, and the stuff that he told me that they did was just like that's just like what I do. I mean, it's really crazy, except he has to do it here. And for me, like,
and their mission doesn't stop; it's always going.
Yeah, the war is there, you know.
Yeah.
For me, I went to Haiti for a couple of months for Operation Uphold Democracy when they ousted Aircy. We had to put them back, and then Iraq, but I think Katrina was some of the hardest time because I'm here in our country, you know, and like you go someplace and you can't understand really what people are saying, or you don't. It's a totally different culture, but you're in your place. And we're still carrying the same stuff. The sand is falling out from Iraq, is falling out of our gear, you know, and we're doing that. And it was really difficult seeing people kill each other over like water and candy bars. It's like, man, that's tough. So I think there's a lot of, I guess I'm just trying to say I really respect the Coast Guard and what they do.
When I was a kid, I thought I wanted to be in the Navy. And then when I lived close to the academy, and when I discovered the mission, I was like, why would I want to spend all this time training for a war that I hope never happens when I can do my job every day?
So I didn't even think about that. Wow.
So I walked into a Coast Guard recruiting office and asked them what opportunities there were for officers. And this would have been 2002. And they said, not really anything. At the time. So he didn't even try to like get me to
The wrong recruiter.
I know.
Our recruiting is not the best.
He's like, I'm not doing any paperwork today. No, you're dead. Come back to talk to the Navy.
And then the army guys were right next door and they're like, hey,
yeah, we
come over here.
So it was fun because I graduated from Sweet Home High School, which is in Central Oregon. And it was right during the time where the timber industry kind of left Oregon. And so 70% of our graduating class joined the military. and most of them Marines, but it was either Marines or Army. It's the only 2 recruiters we had. I don't know, but they didn't have a recruiter for Coast Guard. Maybe Navy, but I don't know. No one really went there. It's really crazy.
All right, what's next?
Well, we've only got 29 minutes. So we've been talking for
About 45 since I started this, but
we usually, we're going to end obviously thanking you guys, but I do have a question. So what kind of advice would you give to veterans who are looking for ways to stay engaged and connected in their post-military lives? Other than Thursday coffees at the Elks Lodge.
Thursday mornings at 9 to 11 at the Elks Lodge. I heard it's great for teachers that are on summer breaks.
Yeah, and you know what? If you guys get really lucky, somebody will bring in some biscuits and gravy like last time.
No, that's good. Yeah, homemade baked goods every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, staying connected is a challenge. So, I mean, there's advantages with today's technology. Like, I still stay connected to a lot of my Coast Guard Academy classmates, and then there's a couple of groups that I belong to try to stay connected. There's the one here, Coast Guard Family Network, I think, is a Facebook site for mostly the families, but they do a pretty good job of, current events and connecting people to things that are happening in the town. But early on, it is an effort. You really need to seek out those opportunities, and they're not as obvious as maybe you would hope. And you kind of got to get out of your comfort zone, like we normally do. I mean, we're used to transferring and going to new places, and so you got to treat it the same way and reach out for what is available. And then on the flip side, I guess for our perspective as people that are kind of settled into the community, we got to do a better job of advertising and reaching out to new members too. And I recognize that, and it's something that I need to work on.
Well, you're still pretty new to the community. You came here in 2020.
2020, yeah, but
that's just a year after I moved here.
You're you see a new guy, so
yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I am relatively new, but after a couple of years.
Well, I've only been here for 3 years too, so I'm the new guy.
You're the new guy. I'm not the old guy. This time around, this tour, you beat me here. I would say get out of the house, get involved with anything that brings you passion, no matter how silly it might be. And for me, it was teaching. Like I wasn't planning on teaching when I moved here. I was planning on being retired, and then I felt like the high school needed me, so I started working. One of the things that I've noticed is in the military, you're not used to your community being your base because you'll just get up and move. You're used to your service being your base, your shipmates, your peers. And this is the longer I've been here, the more in touch I am with the community, the more former students I run across, the more former students who now have kids that I've met. And it's the first time in my life, because I was a military brat as a kid. This is the first time I've spent more than 4 years in one spot.
Put roots down.
Yeah,
it's different.
And every year I feel more home here, and I see more people, and I feel more of the community. And for me, that's the part, is like you got to look outside your normal bubble.
Mm-hmm. But all right, so you guys, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And like I said, we're always trying to highlight. I don't want to call you guys success stories because I don't know everything that's going on in your life, but like people who are actually doing good, and so we can show those as examples to other people who might not be. And like there is life after this. It just, you keep holding on, So thank you guys so much for coming and talking to us.
And I want to add on to that. We talk a lot about, and in Rogue Cell, about how being involved with your communities is healing.
Yeah.
And you're both representatives of that. And I want to thank you for your continued service to this community.
My only regret is that you guys didn't get into like geeky nerd math stuff because I just
we could.
We could.
Going.
I got time.
We were talking statistics before the microphones got turned on.
All right, everybody, 1, 2, 3. Just do pi to as many as you can. I'll
3.1415926535897093238.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Together with Veterans Northwest Oregon or the Oregon Firearm Safety Coalition or the Department of Veterans Affairs. You can find us at roguecell.vet or facebook.com/groups/roguecell. If you or a loved one is experiencing thoughts of suicide, help is available. Please call 988 and press 1 for veterans. This line is answered 24/7, so there is always someone to help. And with help comes hope, and hope saves lives. The second of the 503rd Rogue Cell is produced by Brad Peitzig with support from Together with Veterans and is hosted by Sean Davis. Thank you for joining.